Okay, good morning and welcome to Iyun with Benzion, Kesubos, Daf Kuf Yud 110. I want to talk today about an important machlok. There's very important ramifications for what the Mishnah discusses on Kuf Yud Amud Beis. What currency do you pay your ksuva? And assuming you got married in one place and you ended up getting divorced in another place, the collection of the ksuva is not the place where the star ksuva was written. So the Mishnah records a machlokes between the Rabbanan and Rosh Hashanah. Rabbanan say you always do a lakula, right? You always collect a cheaper amount, meaning Eretz Israel, the currency is shkalim, so it says 200. So if the Rabbanan say no matter what, if I either got married in Israel and I got divorced in America, where the currency is worth more, $200, worth a lot more than 200 shekel, or the other way, I got married in America, I got divorced in Israel. Also, you can give the woman 200 shekel. Both ways, la kula. And the Gemara explains their shita. Kule ksuva shano kan. Ksuva is derabana, not like Shem Lil holds the rice. It's derabana. And therefore, you go both places la kula, right? It's a suffix whether you go after the makom where you wrote the star, or the makom where you're collecting. So therefore, it's like derabana la kula. You're able yad bala star la tachtona. She can only collect the lesser amount, the shkalim. Rishon argues. He says, at least he argues in the second case, he says when they got married in Kaputkia, in America, or where the currency is worth more, they got divorced in Israel, the principle, like we'll see from the Gemara discusses a loan document, a regular loan document, right? You go generally after where it was written. So it was written in America. You got divorced in Israel. So in that case, it seems to me that's the only case he argues. Yeah, ksuva is doraisa, and you have to go after the shibud where it is. You have to give $200, even though you got divorced in Eretz Yisrael. And the Gemara says because he holds ksuva doraisa. Now, the Rishonim are bothered because in our modern text of the ksuva, Ashkenazic text of the ksuva, it says matayin ksuva from psula, $200 or zuz. That zuz really just means moves, right? Whatever moves in that country moves, meaning right cash that moves from one hand to another, 200 units of whatever the cash is. So in Eretz Yisrael, it's shkolim. In America, it's dollars. So Shem says you give the higher amount as long as the star was written like by a loan document, wherever the loan document was written, that's where the shibud is. And therefore, if you got married in America, you have to pay out $200, even if you got divorced in Eretz Yisrael. So, I can't get sidetracked for a second, but it says in the Ksuva, Chazili Midoraisa, right? Masayim Zuz, the Chazili Midoraisa. That's what it says in the Ksuva, in actual Ksuvas we write, in the Ashkenazic Ksuvim. It says Midoraisa from the Torah. So, how do we interpret the fact that Shem Lil says to be a Das Yach? And the Chomim say it's Derabanan. Ksuva is Derabanan. How do you reinterpret the Ksuva? So, I've mentioned all along throughout this Masechta that everyone, even the Rabbanan, agree that the principal Ksuva, the Manu Masayim, is Deraisa. It says in the Torah, right? When you pay onus and mafata, you pay 50 silver coins, which equal 200 zuz. You pay kamora psulos, like the ksuva that you give to a psula, the payment for a psula, right? Basically, you're buying her virginity, or by an almana, you're buying the rights to be boel her for a used product is worth half the amount of a new product, right? They say when you buy a diamond and you leave the store, right, it's worth half the price, whatever you bought it for. So. So that's what you're paying for. So even the Rabbanan agree that the principal price is the right. So all the Rabbanan are saying when it comes to when someone provides a service for me, which is what the woman is providing a service for the man. So right, if you go to a haircutter, right, so I owe them money. I don't think I have money because he performed a service for me. So that's sort of like a chov. It's like a loan document. There's no shibud on my karkos. There's no lien on my property. There's a lien on maybe on my body to pay off to maybe work. I don't have the money. I have to work to earn the money to pay off this guy's chov, to pay my haircutter, but there's no lien on the land. So that's the machlokas in Shem Galil and the Rabbana. Shem Galil says that there's a lien on your land midaraisa, right? And that's what the Gemara says in Daf Yud earlier in Mesachos Kesubos that according to the Rabbana, because it's the Rabbana, and therefore he pays ziboris, right? What is it? Because it's the Rabbana, because the shibud on the karkos, right? Even the Rabbana admitted, Shimon ben Shetach made a shibud on a lien on your property to make sure she gets her ksuva, because sometimes, right, he'll hide his money, so therefore real estate is always available. So therefore they made a shibud on the property to ensure the woman it won't be so easy for husbands to divorce their wives because they're going to have to pay the ksuva. You can't deny it. They'll be able to collect from, and they made all the guys' real estate meshubah to it. That was also a second part of the takana. But the lien on property is their abundant according to their, and this is only their abundance. Therefore, they only entitled her to collect from the weakest land, the most inferior land, the ziboris. According to Shem Gamliel, it's very possible that you're like a balko when the midoraisa, the sheep midoraisa on the land, he collects from Beinoness, according to Shem Gamliel. Now, most Rishonim know we don't pass like Shem Gamliel. Ksuvas their abundant. However, we do paskin that it's like the Ksuva says, Chazali Midoraisa. So the Shibet Aguf, the original amount of money that you owe, is from the Torah. That you owe her from the Torah. Like it says in the Torah, you're paying for Gemara Psulos, for her virginity, for the right to be Boal her, for the right to be together with her. So that you owe her on a Doraisa level. So now back to our mission over here, to explain the Machlokas Rabbanan Shemulil. Rabbanan say, if you got married in Eretz Yisrael and divorced in America, or married in America and divorced in Israel, you go both ways, the kula, because here we're talking currency, right? It says 200 or 100 in the ksuva. So currency is tied to the land. It's tied to the land that you live in. It's like karkos in a certain sense, the currency, not the actual money. The cash is the movable object. However, the type of currency is related to the land. So therefore, the Rabbanan say that we go lakula in both cases because the whole concept of the shibud karkos, the currency which is tied to the karkos, is only a Rabbanan construct. Therefore, we go lakula in both cases. And according to Rishon Gamliel, no currency. There is midoraisa, a lien on the property, right? There's a lien on the property. That's part of what the Torah says. When Torah said Kamora Absul, according to Shemaliel, Torah didn't just mean that it's like I went to a haircut. It meant that the Torah understood. I don't know where Shemaliel knows this from, but he knows that it's like it's basically because you're writing a star. I think that's just the fact that you write a star ksuva. It's like writing a shtarcho. It's right. It's like writing a loan document. The fact that you write a star, I don't think Rosh Hashanah would say still writes without the star. Once you write the star, right, which says I owe the money, I write it in the star that I owe the money to you. So maybe it's like a loan document, and therefore the Shiva and the Karos Midaraisa. Therefore, you collect maybe from Baininus or maybe from Edis, according to superior land, according to Shemaliel. And the other nafkamina is that the currency which is tied to the land is Doraisa. So I'm not sure in Rosh Hashanah. He definitely says clearly in the Mishnah. He argues in one case they got married in America and they got divorced in Israel to give currency of America because usually a loan document is where it's signed, but it could be even maybe it's a suffix. Like the Brisa says, doesn't say anything in there. You have to go find it where it's collected. So maybe even where they got married in Israel and they got divorced in America, maybe Rosh Hashanah would say suffix deraisa l'chumra, and you collect also from the currency of America at a higher price because it's tied to karkos. Seems to be paskin chazli midoraisa. We're just stating in the ksuva that the basic premise of the ksuva is midoraisa. However, the shu karkos is only the rabbanon. That's the machlokas Rabbanan Shem Leal, just to make everything very clear. I've stated this machlokas, this explanation numerous times, but I think it's very important. I think it's the correct explanation. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.